Hello. This week, as you and your family watch bowl games, chow down on festive spreads, and build gingerbread houses, we're throwing back to one of the first American Christmases, and spoiler alert, it was pretty bleak. We're talking about the winter of 1777, when General George Washington led the Continental Army into a winter encampment at Valley Forge. Today, this is a historic site with beautiful trees and sweeping views. But in 1777, it was a snowy wasteland. Yet, the story of that Christmas week was also one of humble leadership and steady perseverance. But I'm getting ahead of myself. By the winter of 1777, the Revolutionary War was looking worse and worse for American forces. 2.5 years into fighting, the British had occupied what was then the capital, Philadelphia. Washington faced a skeptical Congress who was long on criticism and short on cash. So, that was the backdrop for this Christmas encampment. Washington brought his army of 11,000 men to Valley Forge to rest. Amidst blustery winds and freezing cold, they built a village of huts. Legend has it that Washington himself slept in a canvas tent until the last of the soldiers was in winter housing. He hoped Valley Forge would be a place for them to regain their strength to win with one heart and one mind. Needless to say, they ran into some complications, like the lack of food. Congress was funding the Army from money scraped together from states' voluntary offerings. That money didn't cover winter clothing or Christmas rations. We're talking meal plans of just rice and vinegar. Quote, "We have experienced little less than a famine in camp," Washington wrote to Patrick Henry. But if conditions were harsh, then the Army's resilience was even more moving. Washington's letters are full of awe and admiration of men leaving bloody footprints in the snow. Although he estimated a third of the force had no shoes, these soldiers displayed patience and obedience, which in my opinion can scarce be paralleled, General Washington wrote. He was a grateful leader, a general overwhelmed by the task ahead, but also overwhelmed by the dignity of the men in his charge. It would be 6 months before the Continental Army marched away from Valley Forge. But our great-great-great-grandparents didn't give up. They didn't despair, and their leader didn't leave them. So this week, enjoy all the benefits and the privileges of freedom, fleece blankets and fuzzy slippers included, and of course football. But don't forget the folks who paid for our comfort and freedom, and the general who, by sheer force of will, gave troops who had no shoes the hope and the strength to persevere.